A glittery card taped to a bottle of red wine shattered my illusion of love in 8 words. To the wildest groom, you deserved every second of it. Love, Sierra. That was all it said. No context, no warning. Just that careless sentence scrawled in gold ink on a black tag, hanging from the bottle like a noose. I found it on our doorstep around 5:40 p.m., just as I was stepping over a pile of delivery boxes with my laptop bag still slung over one shoulder. Derek had told me he'd be out late with his best friend Max, grabbing drinks, talking final wedding prep. The usual. The wine bottle was warm from the sun, the condensation sticking to my hand as I picked it up. Something felt off. The handwriting wasn't Derek's. And Sierra Maddox, of all people, sending Derek a personalized gift 3 days after his bachelor party. I took it inside. Set it on the kitchen counter. My pulse was calm, but my chest tight. It smelled faintly of smoked roses and a perfume I couldn't quite place. That was when I noticed the box tucked under the bottle, a tiny black velvet case. And inside that wasn't jewelry. Have you ever discovered something so quiet, so small, that it screamed your entire future into pieces? Let me tell you what I did next, and why I never looked back. I met Derek Langston at a rooftop fundraiser in Midtown, one of those after-work mixers filled with overpriced champagne and people pretending to care about water conservation. I'd been dragged there by a colleague who bailed 20 minutes in leaving me stranded next to the hors d'oeuvres table with a half-warm flute of Prosecco and no exit strategy. Derek found me laughing at the absurdity of the situation. "You look like you're one shrimp cocktail away from bolting," he said, holding out a second glass of champagne colder than mine, already uncapped. He was annoyingly handsome, strong jaw, perfect shirt sleeves, rolled just enough to show forearms that meant business. Architect, went to Columbia, talked like a man who could make blueprints sound seductive. And somehow he made me laugh. Genuinely laugh. We ended up on the balcony at midnight, eating chocolate-covered strawberries with our fingers comparing childhood obsessions and favorite subway stops. It was effortless. By month 2, I'd deleted my dating apps. By month 6, we were hosting dinner parties. A year in, we signed a lease together on a modern 2-bedroom in Havenhurst, neutral walls, matte black fixtures, a minimalist kitchen he loved showing off. To our friends, we were the polished couple who had it all: successful careers, coordinated calendars, and that sharp but playful chemistry that made people whisper relationship goals. I won't pretend it was perfect. I was more meticulous than he was, more structured. Derek sometimes forgot to reply to texts or double-booked weekends without checking. But he made up for it in gestures: midweek flowers on my desk, surprise pasta nights after long client meetings. When he proposed at an intimate garden party with both our families present, I said yes without hesitation. I believed in us. I really did. Even when he started hanging out more with Max and Sierra, his ride-or-die friends from high school, I chalked it up to stress relief. The wedding was 3 months away, and I was the one micromanaging every detail. Derek said they helped him breathe. I didn't push back. Maybe I should have. Looking back, there were red flags. Little ones. Sierra's jokes that were just a bit too cutting. Max calling me the fun police at a barbecue. Derek brushing things off with that lazy smile of his and saying, "They just don't know you like I do." He used to call me his constant. I thought that meant safe, trustworthy, the anchor. I didn't realize until later he meant I was the one he could lie to and still expect to be there when the dust settled. But I wasn't there anymore. Not after the bottle. Not after what I found in that velvet box. Not after I played the video. I used to think knowing someone for 5 years meant you knew everything that mattered. Turns out it only takes one night for the truth to catch up. And only seconds for everything to change. And mine changed before dinner. The box was heavier than it looked. I didn't open it right away. I stared at it while the pasta water boiled, pretending that whatever was inside wouldn't matter. That it was just Sierra being Sierra, loud, inappropriate, performative. Maybe it was a gag gift. Something trashy and stupid meant to shock. I lifted the lid slowly, bracing myself. Inside was a slim silver USB drive, wrapped in a black silk ribbon. No note, no explanation. Just the kind of quiet statement that says, "You'll know." And I did. I didn't even pause. I plugged it into my laptop, clicked on the single video file. The name of the file was just "For the Groom." The screen flickered. At first it was harmless, annoying even. A grainy phone video of a dimly lit lounge. Derek sat in the center of a private booth, wearing the groom mode on Sash Sierra, had custom-made drink in hand, smiling wide like he was 15 drinks in. The camera bounced with laughter. Someone Sierra obviously was narrating off-screen like it was a documentary. "Look at our boy about to be a married man," she squealed. "One last wild night. Let's make it count." I was still calm, still breathing normally, still thinking, okay, maybe just drinks, maybe just dumb dancing. Then came the next cut. Derek was shirtless, not stripped by accident but by choice, cheering as someone poured tequila down his chest. Two women I didn't recognize licked the spill from his stomach, while Sierra giggled behind the camera. Legend behavior, she cackled. She's gonna love this at the wedding slideshow. The next scene was worse. A hotel suite. Derek on the bed. Three women, none of them me, climbing on top of him like it was some kind of contest. One reached for his belt. He let her. The sounds were unmistakable. I slammed the laptop shut. My chest was ice. My hands didn't tremble, but my mouth went dry, like all the moisture had evaporated with the last shred of denial. I sat there in the kitchen, bare feet cold against the tile floor, pasta boiling over in the background, and felt everything fall through me. I didn't cry, not right away. There was a moment, a single suspended moment, where I just sat in the silence after the click of the laptop. The kind of silence that feels like a scream. The kind of silence you get right before something breaks. My phone buzzed on the counter. It was Derek. A text. "Don't forget we have that call with the florist at 8. Love you." I stared at the message like it came from another planet. Love you. Did he text that before or after he let three strangers climb into his bed? My stomach clenched. I thought I might throw up. Instead, I stood up, slowly, closed the velvet box, unplugged the drive, and walked it to the kitchen trash. Then I stopped, pulled it back out, because I wasn't going to pretend this didn't happen, not for him, not for anyone, especially not for the people who'd spent years calling us perfect. This wasn't about a party. This was about betrayal. Intentional, layered, humiliating betrayal. And I wasn't about to let it slide under the rug. He didn't just make a mistake. He made a choice. And now, so would I. He came home just past midnight. I was in bed, lights off, pretending to sleep. I heard his keys jingle, the soft thud of his shoes, hitting the entryway mat, the refrigerator door opening. He hummed a line from some 90s alt-rock song under his breath while pouring himself a glass of oat milk, like nothing was wrong. Like the man in that video wasn't him. He stepped into the bedroom a few minutes later, still glowing from whatever jokes he and Max had shared over beers. "Hey babe," he whispered, leaning down to kiss my forehead. "Hope you got some rest. Big call tomorrow, huh?" I nodded against the pillow. My voice, when it came, was steady. "Yeah, I should sleep." "Love you," he said, already turning away. "I know," I replied. It was the last lie I ever let him hear from me. He went to shower, singing softly through the walls. And I started packing. I moved silently, like I'd rehearsed this my whole life. One carry-on suitcase. My laptop external drives a few key pieces from my closet. The pearls from my mother. The hardcover journal where I kept my real thoughts, never digital, never traceable. I didn't take much. He could have the couch we chose together, the bar cart he loved showing off, the espresso machine I bought last Christmas. Let him sip from it alone. I didn't need things. I needed air. I walked through the apartment slowly, barefoot, memorizing it not out of nostalgia, but to confirm to myself that I was done. I wasn't going to sit through another breakfast pretending everything was fine. I wasn't going to smile through brunches with his friends who knew and said nothing. I wasn't going to marry a man who could look me in the eye while hiding that kind of night behind his teeth. I deleted the florist contact, canceled the DJ, took screenshots of every vendor contract on our shared wedding folder. By 2 a.m., I'd emailed half of them with a simple subject line, cancellation request. Langston, Voss, wedding. No explanation, just finality. I left the engagement ring on the kitchen counter beside the half-full bottle of Sierra's wine. No note. Just that cold gleam of metal reflecting the overhead light. The silence inside our home felt heavier than any fight could have, and yet it was freeing. I ordered a car for 3:00 a.m., not wanting to risk morning traffic or questions. The driver didn't say much, just offered me a bottle of water as we passed through the quiet streets of Havenhurst. The sun hadn't even risen when I checked into a small boutique hotel across the river, one I'd found in the quiet hours after watching the video. A place with blackout curtains, room service, and no memories attached to its walls. I sat on the edge of the bed, still wearing my hoodie, watching my phone buzz on the nightstand. Missed call, Derek. Text you up, everything okay? I turned it face down. I didn't owe him answers. I didn't owe him closure. He could wake up to an empty bed, walk into the kitchen, and see the ring sitting next to a wine bottle, signed by the woman who helped him destroy everything. Let him put the pieces together himself. Let him finally feel what it's like to lose control. Because that was the night I decided I wasn't going to be the woman who waited for an apology that would never come. I was going to be the one who walked away before the fire even started. By the time sunlight broke through the slit of the blackout curtains, I'd already booked a week's stay under a different name, updated my passwords, and rerouted every remaining wedding invoice to my personal email. It was surgical, emotionless, almost mechanical. But I wasn't done. I wasn't going to face Derek first. That would be giving him the spotlight, the apology, the opening to spin a new story about regret or a mistake under pressure. No, I wanted to hear it from the one person I suspected had been pulling strings long before the video even existed. Sierra Maddox, the architect of the chaos. So I texted her from a burner app 3 hours after disappearing. We need to talk. Coffee house on 6th, noon. Don't be late, she replied in less than 60 seconds. Who is this, Amelia? What's going on? Are you okay? I didn't answer. Let her stew. At 11:50 a.m., I walked into the cafe. Not the usual chain spot, but an upscale place she loved tagging herself at on Instagram. Of course she did. Floor-to-ceiling windows, gold-rimmed mugs, turmeric lattes with dehydrated orange slices. Style over substance. Perfect for someone like her. She arrived at 11:59. Blazer too bright, sunglasses too big, lipstick too loud. And smug, always smug. Wow, she said, sliding into the seat across from me like this was brunch. I was worried. You kind of ghosted everyone. I looked her dead in the eye. Let's skip the acting, Sierra. You know why I'm here. A flicker of something crossed her face, but she covered it with a laugh. Girl, if this is about the party, come on. You're seriously going to flip over some pre-wedding fun? I said nothing. Just reached into my coat and pulled out the flash drive. Her smile faltered. Oh, so you watched it, she said, voice tightening. It was exaggerated. The girls were drunk. Derek didn't even. He did, I cut in. All of it, and you filmed it. Sierra leaned back, exhaling loudly. Look, it was supposed to be a joke. A last ride thing. It's tradition. I almost laughed. Tradition, like betrayal was a bouquet toss. You're calling group sex and tequila shots on video tradition. She opened her mouth, closed it. Tried again. You're taking this too seriously. Am I? I asked, reaching for my phone. With a swipe, I revealed a gallery of screenshots, text messages between her and Derek. Between her and Max. Comments like, he won't remember a thing if we do it right. Groom of the year, LOL. Don't worry, she's the silent type. She'll forgive him. Her face flushed. I didn't need to raise my voice. The facts were louder than any accusation. You really thought I wouldn't find out? I asked, my voice low and even. Or did you think I'd find out and still show up in white because that's what good girls do? Sierra swallowed. For once she had no comeback. Don't worry, I continued. I haven't told Derek yet, but I will, in my own time. After I've pulled the rug from under every last person who laughed behind my back. Sierra leaned forward, eyes narrowing. You're not actually going to blow this up, are you? I mean, do you know how embarrassing this would be for all of us? I smiled, slow and deliberate. Exactly. I stood up, tucked the flash drive back into my coat pocket. Tell Max I said hi, I added. And let Derek know the honeymoon's canceled. Though I imagine he already got his fill. As I walked out of the cafe, I felt weightless. Not vengeful, not angry, just free. It wasn't about making them suffer. It was about letting them unravel publicly, quietly, completely under the weight of their own arrogance. They'd thrown a match into my life and expected me to cry over the ashes. Instead, I built fire breaks. And now, they could burn. 3 days later, I rang the bell at the Langston estate. It was a marble-fronted colonial tucked deep in the Havenhurst hills. Old money and new judgments poured into every brick. Elaine Langston answered the door, still wearing her signature pearl earrings, even on a Sunday afternoon. She looked surprised to see me, her face stretching into that tight smile I'd grown used to over the years. "Amelia," she said slowly, "well, this is unexpected." I held up the folder. "May I come in?" She stepped aside, and I walked past the foyer where my engagement photos used to sit framed in silver. They were gone now, replaced by a bronze sculpture of a winged horse, of course. Thomas Langston, Derek's father, was in the study reading the Times and sipping something amber. He barely glanced up when I entered. "I hope you're not here to postpone the wedding again," he muttered. "No," I said calmly. "I'm here to cancel it, and to tell you why." That got his attention. I sat down on the tufted cream sofa and slid the flash drive onto the marble coffee table. Elaine's hand went to her throat. "What is that, your son's bachelor party?" I said. "The uncensored version." She looked at me like I'd just said something vulgar in church. Thomas leaned forward, frowning. "What are you talking about?" I tapped the drive. "Everything you need to see is in there. Derek, 3 women, a hotel suite. Your family name soaked in champagne and regret." Elaine gasped. Thomas stood. "That's a serious accusation." "I don't make accusations," I said. "I deliver facts. They didn't plug it in right away." Elaine just stared at the small silver object like it might detonate. But she knew. I could see it in the way her hand trembled slightly as she reached for her drink. I let the silence stretch, and then Elaine whispered, He wouldn't do that. Not to you." My voice was soft but firm. "He did, and your friend Sierra filmed it, laughing." Thomas exploded first. "That arrogant little punk," he growled. "We raised him better than this. This is a disgrace." Elaine looked at me, her eyes brimming with something too sharp to be sadness. "What do you want from us, Amelia?" "Nothing," I said, standing. "Just the truth. And for you to stop pretending I was lucky to be marrying into this family. The luck was never mine. It was his." I walked out before they could answer. By that evening, the dominoes began to fall. First came the voicemail from Elaine, quiet, shaking. "We're so sorry, I don't know what to say. We had no idea." Then came the office fallout. Langston and Hawthorne Architects was a legacy firm built by Thomas's grandfather, passed down through generations. Derek's position wasn't just a job, it was a privilege inherited through bloodlines and dinner parties. He was poised to become partner next quarter. That's over now. I didn't leak the video, but someone did. Maybe it was Elaine. Maybe Sierra cracked under pressure. Maybe one of Derek's own friends grew a conscience. But word got out, and when a client-sponsored gala pulled their donation over reputational concerns, Thomas acted fast. Derek was asked to step aside indefinitely. The PR statement was bland personal leave during a sensitive time. Everyone in Havenhurst read between the lines. Max stopped returning Derek's calls. Sierra posted a vague friends change story on Instagram, then ghosted completely. Even his former best man dropped from the group chat. The man who once walked into rooms with that smug, effortless charm was suddenly walking alone, and I stayed quiet. I watched the headlines, watched Derek's social circle unravel one thread at a time. Heard from a former colleague that he was staying with an old college friend in a studio apartment outside the city. Renting furniture, submitting resumes, drinking too much. I never responded to his messages. He sent them in waves. "Please talk to me. It didn't mean anything. It was just one night. I made a mistake, but I knew better. It wasn't one night. It was years of entitlement, of casual cruelty dressed up as charisma, of assuming I would always be there because I was the constant." He forgot what happens when constants collapse. He forgot I was the one with the silence. And silence, when wielded correctly, is the sharpest revenge of all. The new apartment was small, clean lines, high windows, no shared furniture or inherited art, just mine. I kept the walls bare, bought a matte ceramic lamp for the bedside, lit candles that didn't remind me of him. For the first time in years, every item in my space held nothing but intention. No compromise, no polite negotiation, just stillness. I didn't miss the ring, or the dress, or the dinner reservations for 120 people I would never have to greet. What I missed briefly was the version of myself that had believed him. The woman who once smiled into champagne flutes at engagement parties, thinking love alone could shield her from being deceived. But she was gone, and I didn't mourn her. I celebrated her evolution. There was a quiet power in waking up alone, in choosing coffee without conversation, In walking through a city where no one knew my name and none of the streets held history. Some nights I replayed things, not the betrayal, but the moment I walked away. The clean break, the ringing silence, the echo of my own footsteps down the hallway of a home I never returned to. That's the moment I carried forward, not the pain, the clarity. I never replied to Derek's last message. I hope one day you can forgive me. Forgiveness wasn't the goal, peace was. And sometimes peace comes not from making someone pay, but from refusing to carry the cost with you another step further. He broke the bond. But I ended the story, and in that I found something far rarer than vengeance. I found myself. Not every ending needs to be explosive. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is leave, and let the silence speak for you. I didn't expose Derek to ruin him. I exposed him so I could stop carrying the weight of his lies on my shoulders, so I could step out from the wreckage with my spine intact and my voice unshaken. People asked if I regretted not yelling, not confronting, not throwing the ring at his feet or showing up at the wedding to deliver a scene. But the truth, I never needed the spectacle. I needed my peace. And walking away gave me exactly that. What would you do in my place? Would you burn it all down or disappear without a sound? Let me know in the comments if you believe silence is the sharpest answer. Vote number 1 if you think she should have gone louder. Vote number 7 and tell me, where in the world are you watching from? Don't forget to subscribe to Sophia's Revenge Stories for more powerful, true-to-the-heart karma stories every single day.